Well, that was a movie. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3-star review for Cocaine Bear. I can't really believe I'm saying those words, but here we are. So this movie's very loosely based on true events where some cocaine got dropped out of a plane and then a bear got its paws on it and ended up actually dying. And this movie's basically a satire, horror, comedy, spoof type thing. It's hard. It's hard to nail it down into one genre. But yeah, starting with my three positives on this film, I thought the kills were really great. They're really entertaining, they've got some of that comedy laced into them, they're pretty brutal, and I thought it was just a great fun time. And that leads me into my second point, which is that the humor was actually really great in this movie. I didn't expect to find myself laughing so much, but some of the physical gags that they did with the bear, as well as some of the dialogue between the human characters, I thought was actually really smart and really funny. And finally, the one that surprised me the most is that this movie's actually really well directed. Elizabeth Banks does a great job. All of the scenes with the bear are filmed really well. Sometimes the CGI is a bit off, but again, that's nothing to do with the direction. It really feels like she tried to capture a certain tone, a certain feel with the direction, and I thought it made the comedic elements work better as well as the action scenes. I didn't expect this film to have as much of a stylistic flair as it did, and that was 100% down to the direction. Now, unfortunately, moving on to the negatives, I had quite a few with this movie. First off, and my main issue, is that I feel like they really didn't take the premise of a bear that does cocaine and go anywhere too crazy with it. It felt like, for the most part, the bear in this movie was just acting like a slightly more aggressive or slightly more relaxed version of a normal bear. It didn't feel anything wild, anything out of the box, anything that you would expect when you get hit with that title and that poster. From watching the movie, it feels like that was 100% the intention with this movie, was to go absolutely crazy, absolutely wild, and I think in some ways they did that, but I feel like when you look at it overall, it was fairly reserved. My second issue being, despite a couple really funny moments and well-written moments, I thought the human cast for the most part was just really boring and a waste of time. I didn't really care about anything that was happening in the movie except for the bear killing people. And I know this isn't the sort of movie that you're supposed to take seriously, that you're supposed to get riveting, dialogue from, but I feel like for the most part, when they try to do all these different human side plots, I feel like you've got to at least make them interesting, make them engaging, make you care about the characters, which I kind of just didn't. They felt very one-dimensional, and again, I know that's the sort of thing you expect going into this film, but I hope for a little bit more. Finally, I felt one thing that really disappointed me is that this movie isn't rewatchable at all, really. You go into a movie like this expecting it to be one of those where it's full of moments that you just want to see over and over again that really, endear you to the movie, even if it's a B movie, it's nothing special, but those few moments, those sequences that really bring you in and make you want to come back to the movie. But I felt this movie didn't have any really memorable moments. Although I really liked some of the kills, I didn't feel like it was anything I want to go back to. Overall, to wrap this up, I feel like the movie tried to be two things. It tried to be an insane creature feature, which it didn't really do anything interesting or unique with that premise, and it also tried to have these wacky, weird characters with this sort of like almost Tarantino-esque dialogue, which I feel just didn't hit the mark most of the time and didn't really make them interesting or anything more than one-dimensional. Now, was I expecting some sort of Shakespearean tragedy from this movie? No, absolutely not. But when you have a title as insane as Cocaine Bear, I feel like you could do a bit more to deliver on that. Absolutely, this movie's still a good bit of fun. I think, if that title interests you, you should see it. Just check it out, see what you think. But I definitely wouldn't pay for this one. Now, in my last review, I didn't do any sort of rating system at the end, or at least I don't remember doing one. I've wanted to try and come up with something a bit more different, a bit more unique than just a score out of 5 or a score out of 10 or something like that. So I basically wanted to rate all of the movies I see on rewatchability, because to me that's a really important factor when it comes to me rating a movie. I'm just the sort of person that loves to revisit movies and TV shows and stuff, so rewatchability is really important for me. As you probably guessed by now, this one isn't going to be too great, but hopefully in the future we've got a really good month coming up, so you'll see more of my more positive ratings. But with Cocaine Bear, I'd only rewatch this movie in a group if I had to. So, as I mentioned, March is going to be a really busy month for movies. We've got Creed 3, we've got Scream 6, we've got Shazam, we've got 65. There's a lot coming out. John Wick Chapter 4, so make sure to stay tuned, hit the sub button, hit the notif button, all that YouTube stuff to get notified when all my reviews drop for those things. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in a blur.